to a Skylark by Shelley. So first of all, we will see some of the facts related to the poet. Percy Bysshe Shelley was born in England in 1792, and he is considered as one of the second generation romantic poet trio. First generation was we consider the poets Wordsworth, then Coleridge, and then Southey as the first generation romantic poets. That is the romantic poet trio. Then second generation poetic trio is Lord Byron, then John Keats and Shelley. So he is considered as a second generation romantic poet. Okay. Now he was expelled from the University College Oxford for publishing this pamphlet, The Necessity of Atheism. So he was expelled. Okay. And then later on he eloped and married Mary Wollstonecraft Godwin. You must be familiar with her. That is Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein. That is, she was the daughter of William Godwin and Mary Wollstonecraft. That is, A Vindication of Rights of Women was written by Mary Wollstonecraft, and William Godwin was also an activist. And actually, it was not his first marriage. Uh, he first he fall in love he fell in love with another woman, and then later on he married that girl. But afterwards, after many years, he met this Mary Godwin, and then they eloped and married. Okay, so Shelley is considered as a revolutionary or a radical because he brought lots of changes, that is like in poetry, then political and social views, different types of revolutionary ideas were put forwarded by him. And he was a chief exponent of non-violence, and he followed vegetarianism, and he stood for free love and atheism. So he was a revolutionary actually. And then he died on July 8th, 1822. He was just 29 years old when he was drowned at the age of 29 in Italy. Okay, he was sailing in a boat, that is the Don Juan. Don Juan was the name of that boat. Anyway, even though he lived only a very short period of time, like 29 years, his contribution is considered as a classic author in English language. Okay. Now, Harold Bloom describes him as a superb craftsman, a lyric poet without rival, and surely one of the most advanced skeptical intellects ever to write a poem. Okay, so that was Harold Bloom's description of this poet, that is Shelley. Actually, he was not that famous during his lifetime. Later on, he was considered as a role model by many of the authors and politicians as well, like Gandhiji, and then many other activists, political activists, was interested in his ideas. So these are some of the facts related to Shelley, and then he has contributed heavily, and he's considered as one of the equal to this Shakespeare. He lived only for 29 years, and in that short period of time his contributions are huge. So that's the reason why many of the authors, many of the other writers think that if he had lived for many more years, he would have been more famous than Shakespeare. So we lost a genius, that is Shelley. Anyway, his poems are Ode to the West Wind, then Ozymandias, Music to a Skylark, The Cloud, The Mask of Anarchy. The Mask of Anarchy is a political ballad. Then When Softer Voices Die, Alastair, Queen Mab, and then Adonis. Adonis is considered as an elegy, and it was inspired by Keats' death. Okay, then The Revolt of Islam. Then his unfinished work is The Triumph of Life. Okay, now he wrote some visionary poetry dramas, verse dramas, that is Prometheus Unbound and The Sensi, then Gothic novel The Story. Okay, now his essays, he as an activist he wrote lots of essays, and one of the famous essay is a defense of poetry. And in that particular essay, his famous words, that is, poets act as the unacknowledged legislatures of the world. That line is taken from this, a defense of poetry, the essay, a defense of poetry. Okay. And then he wrote another essay, that is a vindication of natural diet, on the vegetable system of diet, etc., and many other uh, famous essays. Okay. So these are the collection of his contributions to literature. Okay, fine. So these are the facts related to poet Shelley.